This week in Warcraft, a Finnish game designer takes issue with the name Heroes of the Storm because he already has a tabletop RPG with the same name. Oops, our mistake, BlizzCon is now in 2 weeks. And the EU realms are starting to be connected in the new virtual realm construction. I'm Mezzy, and welcome to WoW Weekly. Alright, welcome back to WoW Weekly, episode number 9. This week I'm joined by LJ. How you doing, man?
Doing quite well. And yourself?
Yeah, not bad at all. And welcome back, Matt. How are you?
I'm not too bad, how are you?
Well, I just answered that question.
I know, I always say it.
I know you do.
I knew you were going to say it.
So, this week, yeah, let's get started right away. A video came out on YouTube this week showing a Death Knight's re-entering Stratholme after doing a random dungeon. And his gear was scaled down to the item level required for the dungeon, which was 43. Now surely this is a bug, but it does show that Blizzard has been experimenting with scaling for all dungeons. So how do you guys think we'll see this in the future? Could it already be in a possible patch 5.5? Or could it be in the next expansion instead? And if so, if it does get implemented, would you enjoy the feature? And I think the more important question, do you actually still have friends to play with that play on a lower level characters?
Well, friends, that's the first hurdle right there. I
yeah,
mean,
exactly.
Who has friends in World of Warcraft? But I think it's good. It might be a good system. I mean, it's a shame because the boosting will be a bit nullified, I think. But I'm sure Matt was going to say this as well because we've both been playing Final Fantasy, and it's already implemented in that game that if you're higher level, you can still do all the lower level dungeons as you get synced to a certain level, then a max level for that dungeon. Which works pretty good, to be honest. I mean, I don't have any problems with it so far. I actually like it. It's well, I don't know what it will add for World of Warcraft because we're already used to so long just being able to rush through an old instance, maybe for transmog gear or whatever. But
yeah, I agree. I think the only issue you're going to have in World of Warcraft is the people just like to blitz through it for transmog gear and stuff like that. The option you could do is. So I agree. I hope they bring it in because, for me, I think it's a brilliant idea. I play Final Fantasy. I enjoy it. And I do like the fact that even though I'm level 50 on it now, I've got my good gear. I'm doing pretty well on it. I'm a healer. I still like the fact that I can help some people leveling up and struggle. It's really, really strange when you go back into a dungeon because the way they do it is. You learn a skill at level 50. If you go into the dungeon, it's level 40. You won't have that skill anymore. So you sort of having to learn every single time you go back into a dungeon again. You sort of thinking you're taking some of the heals that you've learned afterward really for granted, and it's a good little feature, that part of it is. And if they bring some of that in, I think if they make it optional, I think that's going to be the best way of doing it. If it's an optional function, if it's one of those functions where you don't have to do it. You can do it, I think will be quite successful, and I think that'll be the best way of doing it.
Yeah, but also if they do it, that it might have some sort of reward system. Like, for instance, you still want to boost somebody, but maybe if you do it on their level, that they get an XP, that you get an XP boost or gear boost or something like that. That might, if it's going to be optional, that might be a good incentive to do that.
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
May I interject something?
Yeah,
no,
because
no. This is not your podcast anymore.
Oh, okay, guys, it's been a blast. I'll let LJ deal with it now. See you in my other videos.
And we'll get
and the views just skyrocketed.
Oh no! Well, we know what the problem has been now.
And we've,
Exactly.
and we've just found kangaroo.
Ah, yes.
That's definitely going to be the new host.
Definitely, sure. But anyway, what I was going to say was that, hey, you're taking Final Fantasy as an example. But Final Fantasy and WoW are in completely different stages of the game. WoW has been out for nearly 9 years now. And so most players have already reached the maximum level on one or no-lifers like us, many characters. So how useful will this still be? How much, like I said in the original question, do you actually still have friends that play low-level characters for which this would be useful?
It may not be low-level characters. It may just be the pure fact of helping friends out and helping like alts out and stuff at that level. There's already a lot of things to help out. I just think it would be... The problem I think nowadays is there is a lot to do. Fair enough. You've got so many dungeons and stuff like that. I think the main issue that people have with the game, and I have with the game, is that it's just too easy to blitz through that old content. I know it's old content.
Yeah.
I know it's old content for a reason. Fair enough. I'm not naive enough to say other stuff like that, if you know what I mean. But come on, it's so like you can literally blitz through the old content to get rich, almost.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the quickest ways, and I'm lazy enough not to do it because I'm just lazy. It's probably one of the quickest ways at the minute to make money on the game. If you find a good transmog set, and then blitz through 3 or 4 dungeons where it drops, you can have a right good. You can make it.
Yeah, you can make
decent
a
amount
decent
of
amount
money.
good for minimal effort. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, if I just literally blitz in the dungeon, you're 5 times an hour, which you're allowed to do.
Okay.
So,
Well, what I was thinking was, have we talked about before extending the lifetime of content? Because we wanted to see it for raids, for example, for Karazhan.
yeah.
What they could possibly do is give you the option, even if you're not with a low-level character in the group, to scale down to the appropriate item level of the dungeon, and make sure that then at that point it is actually a bit of a challenge, the dungeon, and not just a face roll that it is, even if you are at the appropriate level now. And then, for example, make a daily or a weekly quest for a certain dungeon.
Yeah.
That you have to run it on the appropriate item level, have it be some type of challenge at least, and get either Valor points or some other type of at least small reward for doing so.
Well,
That sounds a lot like. Didn't we have that in Burning Crusade as well? Not from the start, but after a while you got 2 one daily and 1 weekly quest, I believe.
Yes, just like Wrath of the Lich King as well.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an idea that's been used before. I mean, it can always be used again, and we know how much Blizzard likes rehashing new old ideas.
yeah.
So,
Well, yes, but it is actually a good incentive for people to start doing these dungeons then, if they're scaled appropriately, and to hopefully have fun with it.
well, that is the idea of a game, of course, having fun.
Yes,
but
but
but it's World of Warcraft. It's a job. It's not fun.
Exactly, it's World of Warcraft.
I completely agree. With what I was thinking of just is what people may not think, people may not even contemplate it too. They do have experience of syncing item level already. It's already in this patch. And that is for the challenge modes. Everything is synced to 463. They already have the
True.
experience there, the other experience of doing it. So for them to actually do it, it's probably not as like different as you might think, because they already do it for the wonderful challenge modes, which I think I've done 1. I just don't like them.
Same here.
I didn't tell I. No, I've never really. It's just never been something I want to do. Some of the gear is pretty cool. I do quite like the idea of. I know Mezzy hates it with a passion. The idea of having to do something quickly, because it's the slowest person known to man.
F you, man. You know, the reason I hate it is just timed stuff sucks. That's not about skill or anything. That's just about going exactly the right angle to skip trash and whatnot. Give me heroics like in the Burning Crusade. I don't care if I spend 2 or 3 hours in the heroic dungeon. If it's tough, it's fun.
I agree. In any game possible, whatever that exists, time trials, timed events, or I've always hated them because I always feel too hurry with them. Like especially with other games that you have like achievements, secrets to find or whatever. Then you have to do a time trial. It's just like,
Yeah.
what the hell am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
But that's also my thing with um, with challenge mode exactly. It's also finding a good group that's willing to take you with them, and
Yeah. I mean, I've done 5 on gold mode, and I really do want the last 4 before the end of expansion because I want the set. But I'm not having fun doing it. So,
no.
yeah, and that's what I was going to say as well. Because you mentioned they already have experience, Vivi, with the scaling because of challenge modes. But challenge modes serve a whole different purpose, or the scaling rather does, than it would for, as we'd see in Stratholme.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know it's different challenges, stuff like that, but say they have the experience there to do it. Would it be a good idea? I personally think yes, definitely a good idea. I think, as you said, it would be nice just to go back in some of the older content. I used to love some of the older content. I used to like the 40-minute run and stuff like that, and it was just something silly, something a little bit different that people had to do to try and do well. And I just think that it would be nice to have that challenge back in the game, which unfortunately I do think is lacking at the moment, which I think a lot of people would agree. It is lacking at the moment due to the fact that
Casualization.
well, I didn't want to say that precise word.
The word.
We haven't mentioned it a few episodes. It was needed.
Yeah, the word casualization. Because of that, I think at the end of the day, people, they just look at the game and thinking, okay, if we do that, we can make this game like really. We'll get another set of people for this there, and we'll get another set of people for that there. Instead of trying to sort of like push people a little bit too much, which is a shame. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
And I would like to add, though, another thing with the challenge modes was that the mobs were significantly boosted as well, at least to make it challenging. Right now, even if you would just reduce people to the proper item level, the dungeons are still very easy, so also the mobs would need adjusting. Otherwise, it's still the same easy thing, you just do it at a lower level, which takes 5 or 7 minutes longer than it would otherwise.
Yeah, I can see that. It would need, as you said, it would need a tweak, and it would need some kind of alteration. I do agree that you don't want to do the old dungeons if you choose to sink, and it be like it was leveling, because I don't think I've ever wiped level. I think I might have wiped when the tank decided to pull pretty much everything in the instance once or twice, if you know what I mean. They're about the only times you can wipe now when you're doing progression or leveling through, because you have all the leveling gear, you've got all these things that give you a nice boost to leveling, and it's brilliant. But unfortunately, as I know people say, I say my fiance's listening to this, she just said the words old school for the win, and I agree. When I enjoyed when I was leveling, because there was a risk of wiping. That's why at the moment I'm enjoying Final Fantasy, which is a different type of game and stuff like that. Yes, I know, evil.
And it's still in that, like you said before, it's still in that phase of discovering a lot of things. The whole team is discovering a lot of things for themselves and trying it out, like Blizzard used to do, but has lost sight of.
But they've gone for the easy routes.
Yeah, exactly. And when they at first they didn't, and they just they weren't going for the bigger player base. They were going for the better game. But of course, let's not hide the fact that they went together with Activision, and we all know that's a power and money hungry organization. So of course, there's been some pressure from that side, but it's still they lost sight of what made this game great, and
there's still a discussion about that. if Activision really has influenced it. Of course, we like to moan and beep about it, but
Beep.
you know what word I mean there. It also starts with a B.
Yeah, it always starts with a beep. You can never have
Yeah.
too much of the beep.
Exactly.
But it's still for discussion. If there's no proof for it,
No,
we like
but
to moan
I
about
wouldn't.
it.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Exactly. We would. Yeah, I wouldn't either. I wouldn't be surprised if that did have an influence on them. But yeah,
It may not
let's,
have that big of an influence, but it's definitely a factor now. I think.
Yeah, I think
It's always
yeah.
Blizzard has always been solo, individual. How would I say it? Not dependent. That's what I'm looking
Yeah.
for. Not dependent on others, but now
Independent.
they.
Then, if you want to
Yeah,
go for the real
exactly. They were independent. Yeah.
word. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, of course, it's a factor. I don't know if it's a big factor with them. I don't know the whole organization structure, but it's definitely something that also has been taken into account. But still, that doesn't dismiss them from the fact that they're beeping up.
Well, at the end of the
Effing
day,
freaking yeah.
Yeah, that.
at the end of the day, money talks, and
Oh yeah,
no matter what
Oh,
you're
yes.
doing, no matter what game you're doing, no matter where you are. Say, I'm one of the people in the world at the moment that is waiting for a next gen console. You can take that into account, and there's stuff changing on that every week because money talks. They're thinking, oh, shall we delay this, delay that? There's big games that have been delayed literally a month before they were meant to be released because certain people have thought, actually, if we save it till then, we'll make a little bit more money. And it's just the way the industry is, every industry, especially with the whole piracy and that type of stuff that affects them.
Well, yeah, and if you're saying money talks, I guess you could say that it has, especially for WoW. For a while, the casualization gave a boost in subscriber numbers, but now it's reduced dramatically. So maybe they're taking that as a sign that people do want some hard content.
but you also got to think as it might be too late to go back in their minds as well.
Yeah, maybe.
It might be in some way. It might be because not only the game has been damaged, their image as well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Blizzard has always been one of the best, still is, in my opinion, one of the best game makers, game developers. Sorry, ever, to be honest. And they've lost face a little bit now, especially with Diablo being so disappointing, but also World of Warcraft being increasingly disappointing. I mean, it's still financially very sound, and it still sells, and the next expansion will be sold over millions of times again, but it's still, yeah, it's in the decline. So yeah. they
Well,
have
you've
come
got
up
to
with
look at it.
something.
You've got to look at it this way. In my eyes, I'm seeing a game like Final Fantasy as a success because it's taken something old, it's taken something new, and tried to merge them together. It's learned from its mistakes, and it's created a pretty good game. You cannot deny that me and LJ play it. I know some people have moaned about a few facets of the game, but it actually has created quite a good game.
But you're always going to have
Yeah.
a couple things that are not going to work perfectly. But like you said, they definitely learned from what people said. I mean, this is one of the few times that I actually heard of a game, an MMO especially, being taken off the market, being reshaped, being rebuilt in a better way, in a better sense of the words,
Yeah.
and then actually being put on the market again and actually be a big improvement of the original.
But no matter how this game is done, you still have to understand that I think it's gone over 1.5 million subscribers. That is a new game. 1.5 million subscribers. There's so much out there at the moment which is going to now compete with this. You've got Guild Wars. You're getting a lot of better games now out there, which are proving that they can't rest on the laurels at the moment, which is the problem. Which I think they've done a little bit. They've done Diablo and stuff like that. And unfortunately, I don't know one person. There's going to be people that have loved Diablo. There's going to be people that have done this. Story, I admit, I loved the story the first
The
playthrough.
first time.
I have said last week in our other podcast that there was a few issues with the second, and third, and fourth playthroughs.
50th.
Yeah, and 50th playthroughs. But at the end of the day, you can't. That's the way it is. You have to accept it. StarCraft, I think I've not played the expansion yet. You two have played it.
Yeah.
Story looks quite
There's-
good. I'm not
There's
sure.
no doubting.
It's disappointing
That's-
at the end.
It's disappointing at the end, but there's no doubting about StarCraft at the moment. It's
Yeah.
I think if you don't
It's a
go,
solid game.
It's the most
especially
solid
for
game at the
esports.
moment.
Yes,
I think it's the most solid product at the moment on the market. So yeah,
definitely.
they have
But,
definitely that going for themselves.
Getting to your point about the new MMOs and stuff like that, and rebuilding it, I still think that if Blizzard now takes WoW more seriously again, and reintroduce some of the features that are more attractive to the, I'm going to say, more loyal fan base,
Yeah.
then I think if they can build a solid game out of that again, and once people hear about it, hey, it's fun again, it's more challenging, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It could bring people back. It could go back to the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 million players.
Yeah, I just wish that they made a game, as we've all said, that's as challenging as it used to be, and I think that's the problem. Apart from now, you can't, as I said, you cannot include the top 100 guilds or something like that into the
absolutely
rating.
not.
You can't include any of the top guilds in concept of is the game good or not, because at the end of the day,
No.
they are fanatics. They love. Oh, part of them are probably bitter
may I
and twisted,
interject
don't like the
something
game.
for that point? The thing is, raiding is fine. The heroic modes, they don't need to get any more complex. Even I kind of think, okay, we have enough mechanics, enough. Try to find some other way to
definitely.
make it harder then, but not any more mechanics, please.
Definitely, I as a Malay person, I definitely agree
Yeah.
because
So-
World of Warcraft hates Malay.
So what they really need to focus on is the at least adding non-raiding, more challenging content that
Yeah.
isn't time-based. And I'll keep saying that because challenge modes are not a success in my eyes.
Well, there might be,
Blizzard
but
is happy
it's
with
still
it.
it's like hard challenge mode. I think you can. The problem is, I think I can explain it best like this. There's too much extremes at the moment. There's the extreme casual part, and there's the extreme hardcore part. But there's nothing really in between, or at least like with the Timeless Isle. I like the idea, but it's just way too easy with all I mean, if you have the add-on for it, I've lost the name. You know everything where everything will spawn in what time. I mean, that basically takes out the fun out of something like that. It's a good idea, but it's just like with challenge modes and hardcore modes with raiding. That's for the hardcore raider, but there's nothing in between that's actually challenging and decent just to play in the
Fun
game.
is the word
Fun,
you're looking
yeah,
for.
fun, exactly. Fun.
Yeah.
Fun in World of Warcraft. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, so I don't think there's much else we can say about it, but there's the middle ground, maybe a bit more towards the higher end, that's missing, because please, enough with all the different mechanics. I'm
There is one thing
fine
I
with
need to
that
add.
as a raid leader. I have enough to explain as it is.
There is
Yeah.
one thing I need to add. We do like WoW, by the way. We
Yes.
don't hate the game like a passion.
Otherwise, we
No,
wouldn't be playing it and making a podcast about it.
Yeah.
The reason we are complaining because we're passionate about the game. We want to see
Exactly.
it do better.
Yeah, it's fine. It's like we like the WoW, the game and stuff like that, and it is just frustrating a lot of the times where there's certain things that just bug and bear. Like I said, you take the top 100 guilds out of all the progress and everything, and how they play the game, and then focus on the rest. And unfortunately, I think, as LJ said, they do sort of go towards. In my eyes, what they're doing at the moment with Flexi and stuff like that, they're doing 3 levels or 4 levels of raiding if you include LFR.
Yeah.
With the dungeons, the only way they can improve the dungeons is if they can do something similar, and pretty much make a top end set of dungeon heroics, but literally give them like most other games, and they'll probably give them some really cheesy name like heroic by my ad, and just give them a really cheesy, crappy name, that makes that something for stupidly hard and that only 1 to 10% of the population can actually do.
Okay, I have it. Chaos mode.
Oh yes.
God, that sounds cheesy enough, doesn't it?
That's cheesy enough.
Something like that is immensely hard. You have, and it's nothing to do with auctioning gear. You have to have decent gear, and I'm talking about immensely hard in like full heroic gear or full in like the first tier of raiding gear. I'm talking about stuff that even if you go in there a couple of tiers later, yes, it'll be easy, but you can still wipe. At the moment, it's not. You can only wipe if you fall asleep, and that is the crux of it at the moment, and that's the issue I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are kind of going off topic. Maybe it's best if we continue. So, moving on. The next part, which we actually already talked about before, is virtual realms. In the European realms, they're now starting to be connected as the new virtual realms. Now, the question is, do you think we'll notice much difference, and would be a positive change or a negative one? We've tried finding reactions of people who have already been on virtual realms, but there hasn't really been much, at least not that we could find. Maybe we're just bad at researching, I don't know. Well, I know that I'm not, so I'll just have missed it if there is.
Oh, so you're just going to blame us now then?
Yes, I am.
Of course you are.
Well, say when we were talking about what we were talking about,
Yeah,
on this podcast,
exactly.
When we were talking about the podcast, we said, "Oh, is it going to be one of those topics you talk a lot about?" And we were talking about it, saying, "Yes, I think it is." Whereas, the question is it going to be a good thing? Is it going to be beneficial? Personally, to me, as I said earlier, we're on Emerald Dream and stuff like that, and that is meant to be. Well,
Shit, now they know where we are, man.
I know. It's
I mean, they already do if they look at the channel.
asking for
Yeah.
so asking for autographs and everything. But it's a situation where if you ask somebody, like, is it a good thing? If you look at our realm is, I think LJ said earlier, is a half-dead realm. It's not
medium level.
It's a medium-level realm, and that's probably a type of realm they will try and merge in a unrefined way of the virtual link, which is widely regarded as a secret merge. They don't want to merge realms because it will look like the subscription going down, so they're linking them instead. And would it be a good thing? Now, 9 times out of 10, in general daytime, finding groups, finding pugs. I remember coming to Emerald Dream for the first time, and pugs was pretty good on this server. You could find a lot of pugs, you could find a lot of random, and they were quite decent, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but there are also a couple of players that I know, I won't say the names, but there are a couple of people that tried organizing them.
Yeah.
As well. There were certain people that if you knew they were looking for people that if you joined that it would be a good run.
Yeah.
You don't have that now anymore.
There was one bloke I know who actually went back to my original server. That's where I knew him from.
Okay.
And when I came onto this server, he was unbelievable because literally I joined a couple of pugs with him and cleared everything because he was really good at raiding. He got a lot of friends that did everything. So, fair enough. That's how it works. Now, if you take into account the new set of content which they are looking at, which is sort of Throne of Thunder-ish with the quest, but also is what they've said is the Timeless Isle. When I first logged into Timeless Isle on a medium server, it was one of the most painful experiences of my WoW life because it was horrible. Literally, it was like kill 5 elites. There were no elites alive.
Nope.
Literally, there was no mobs alive on the entire continent when I logged in. It was one of the most stressful experiences ever. It's sort of like, get this, you'll get your legendary. I can't because there's nothing alive.
Yeah, I know the exact feeling. Yeah.
And it was one of these things. I work. I turned up. I got back after work, and it was just absolutely painful. It was horrible.
It was chaos. It was chaos.
It was complete chaos, and that is on a medium realm.
Yeah.
What would happen if they linked us with another medium realm? It would be unbearable.
Exactly. We'd probably see queues.
We'd see
We'd,
queues and stuff like that. They'd
yeah.
have to do something on the line. As we've,
It's
we,
server
queues,
would
queue
crash,
queues,
at least
and
the
everything.
world server.
everything.
we have moaned. We've said it. I said moan. We did moan about it quite vigorously on a previous podcast when it was mentioned regarding the time.
We don't moan. We
and what
critique.
Yeah, we critique. And what we said regarding the podcast regarding Thomas Isle, and the issue I had personally with it, and I think you two had it as well, I can't remember now because it's been so long ago, was regarding the area you got rep. The area you get rep on the island is relatively small. Now,
And low.
and low. And just imagine how bad it must be on a realm that is full and
Yes. You'd have to group up with people.
Oh.
Imagine that.
It wouldn't even be group. No, you can group up now, but there's that many
Mm-hmm.
times. There's that many groups. You are literally fighting for every bit of rep you can, and this is on a medium server. Just on a large server, you wouldn't just be fighting for rep. You'd be literally mass murdering people for it. You'd be PvP all the time. And I'm not the greatest fan of PvP, but that'd be the only way you can get stuff.
Yeah.
I can see what they're doing. I can see they don't want to lose face with having to merge realms and disappear realms, because we mentioned it when the idea first came about. We did do a little quick word on it then, and we did turn around and say about people are proud of their server, almost like their home, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want to lose it, so I can see why they're doing it. I just think they should be a bit more open with it and say, we don't want to merge, we're losing a few people, we're going to link them so you don't lose your identity.
Exactly, because the
see how
thing
it
is, they do feel like they are part of the realm, at least the ones that have been playing for longer. I do see myself as an Emerald Dreamer. I'm not exactly keen on leaving or anything like that. I'd rather start a new guild than move to another realm.
I agree. That's why I'm not most. I don't know about you,
Cheaper.
Messi, but yeah, that for instance. But I know Matt and I aren't originals of the realm, so yeah, it's just
You're immigrants.
we are immigrants. I'm an immigrant in the country, and I'm an immigrant in the raid in the realm. I mean, so yeah, it's going good for me. But yeah, I totally agree. It's like also when you talk about countries, I mean, people are nationalistic. Most of them are. I mean, that's just something inside people. Be it,
Sometimes, if the UN
Most-
tries
most
to
of the
take
time.
away their holiday,
if you take away their holiday, for instance.
for instance,
Huh?
if anyone has
UN?
been following the UN and the Netherlands stuff,
Yeah, that's quite fun.
yeah.
But pardon me. That's I think it's just something that's with everybody in a certain way or not. I mean, it's just also with realms, to be honest. I mean, not nobody wants to be associated with the other guy because your realm is the best, even though it might not be. That's why I think they don't want people to lose face. That they would disagree with the idea and leave the game, maybe even if in the most extreme form, or change servers or whatnot. I mean, that's all possible, but it's just. But as to the idea itself, like you guys said before, and like I've said before in the previous podcasts, it's like most things, it has its upsides and its downsides. Especially like with the Timeless Out, that's a perfect example of how it can make life worse. But I mean, with certain things, it can also make life better. With
Guild
I don't know,
recruitment.
exactly, that's
I'm
exactly what I
looking
want
forward
to say.
to that. Yes.
Yeah, a bigger pool to recruit from. I mean, not saying that everybody's
Well, an easier
better, but
pool
still.
to recruit from, really, because
Yeah.
they can transfer realm anyway. So in that sense, the pool isn't getting bigger. But it's getting a lot easier. Depending on
Yeah.
how many servers you will be merged with. Some servers are now being merged with 3 others, so that's 4 servers in one virtual realm. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a major increase in players for the raiding guilds on those realms. But it just makes it easier, at least that aspect of the game, and that is part of the social aspect. So in that sense, who knows, a community could form out of that.
Yeah, so it could improve the social aspect of the game, but as we said before, unfortunately, with WoW at the moment,
It
it
doesn't promote that.
yeah, it doesn't promote that. It doesn't really work. You look at when you do, as we said, when you do dungeons with each other, that's cross realm. You you can pretty much go entire dungeon without speaking to anybody, just because,
Oh, I
well,
hate that.
just because no
Speaking
one
with
wants to
other
speak to.
people, what's this?
I know. Speaking with
I hate that in any MMO
people.
possible. It's like it's also like a syndrome. It looks like it's most of the time it's like when you say hi and other people say hi, you get a better feeling because you know well they're communicating and they'll talk with you. But it's
Yeah.
like I was in Final Fantasy. I was in a dungeon the other day, and it's just like the tank was talking, I was talking, and the other DPS was talking. A party consists out of 4 people. For people who don't know, but the healer wasn't talking, and who died 2 times on the first boss?
You.
No. Well, beep you too, man. The healer died, of course.
No. Really?
But yeah, it's just that's also something. But that's with a lot of people, I think, or with yeah, just people in this game. I mean, if you can't be antisocial, why not, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah. We've talked a lot about it before. It's the way the game has developed, and unless Blizzard makes some major changes, which could potentially make the game less easy to play, more of a hassle, yes, with finding groups in trade chat. That used to be a good thing that worked, sort
Oh
of.
God, that's so long ago.
I know, right?
You said
Oh.
it worked.
Yes.
It,
Often it
Up
did.
to a certain point, I think
Yeah.
looking for aid does have its benefits, but looking for I don't know. It's just looking in trade chat. Well, now we're all getting all old sentimental and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it
It's
did, but it's definitely easier to find with the
yeah.
tool
After
now, looking for good.
yeah, after a while, you could just weed out the bad people. Oh, we've had you before. You were shit. Goodbye.
Yeah, and you don't have that now because there's thousands of players now that can be put in
Crap.
group. Yeah,
They
that
can be
crap, it
rubbish.
could be put in your group. I mean,
What-
if you're looking for raid,
Yeah.
God forbid that you're doing it. But I mean, out of those 25 people, I think you can definitely say 10 to 15 are mediocre at best. Uh, at best, the rest.
Oh
I
man, the
mean,
posts I see on MMO Champion about Garrosh LFR. Wow.
Oh, I've not done Garrosh LFR yet.
I've not either, but apparently he is very hard, so that's very fun to be honest.
Oh,
I saw a screenshot the other day on Reddit from somebody who wasn't looking for it, and he had 10 stacks of the buff you get.
oh my god.
Wow.
10. I
That
mean,
is impressive.
That means everyone had to repair.
yeah. That's really. I mean,
Wow.
I wonder if anybody was still in the original raid of the first attempt there, but still, it's
Well,
just
I guess the person. Oh no, I suppose the buff does switch to the people. Who
it's switched.
enter
Doesn't
newly.
matter if
Yeah.
if you join in for the 8th or 10th attempt, you still get the buff
Yeah.
at its full height, so that doesn't matter. But it's just that's really depressing to see that. But I'm actually going to say don't change it. Just let people get better.
They've already nerfed it. Already
Yeah.
fixed.
Shh. But yeah, of
I
course.
know it's killing your
that's-
hope, but it's reality.
They will. The thing is, they want LFR to be the complete, simple way
Yeah.
of doing it.
Yeah,
I guess it's fair. We have Flex now as well.
Yeah. Well, and,
So,
and
yeah.
that does go back over on our previous conversations that, as we said, anyone that would normally do LFR for gear to gear an ult up will probably get some of their mates and just go through flex.
Yeah.
And so really, anyone that had half a brain cell normally goes through flex, and if you go in LFR, it's because you're bored.
Or really need a certain item or tier sets.
Or really, yeah, something really specific. But
Yeah.
and 9 times out of 10, you go in there, and everyone is completely useless.
Yep.
Well, I'm,
So, the thing is, it's not just down to this game. I will say, as I've mentioned, I have played other games before. I played another game yesterday. A tank moaned at the DPS, and I died due to aggro, and I was healing. So it's one of those things. You do get them in every game. I do think at the moment with this game, and I apologise to Audrey, I do think with this at the moment, LFR, you are getting to a stage where LFR should just be the most basic part of it. Just accept it now. You've got Flexi. Flexi will be fine. Are we happy with it? No. LFR was sort of a gimmick. I'd much rather just get rid of LFR and have Flexi. But they won't.
No.
No, unfortunately.
Well, see, look at it this way. I heard an echo, by the way, not sure from where. But look at it this way. There is flex now for those that want a more organized group and a higher difficulty. So in that sense, I guess they could just leave LFR for what it is for the... I know you're not supposed to use the word baddies because not every player in LFR is bad that wants to do LFR. I know some people do have limited time, but for that type of player.
Yeah.
There's no other way I can say it at this point. There's a reason why I've given up on LFR this tier. Why I just flat out refuse to do it now. One, because I get tired of 14 bosses as it is right now. Second, because I don't have much time outside of normal raiding. Well, heroic raiding, but whatever. And
yeah, the normal raids for you.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And thirdly, yeah, the players. That's all there is to it. I don't enjoy playing with those people.
No, that's up to you. I mean, you have that choice to not do it or do it anyways. I mean,
so they should just leave LFR for what it is, I think, and make sure that Flex is well balanced for the people who want to raid more seriously. I think that's probably the best option at this point.
Yeah. I agree.
I agree.
We got to a situation. Yeah, sorry, we got to a situation last time. But I think we've done our usual thing.
Yes, we've done what we've usually done and made one topic into another. So I think it's time to move on. Oh, by the way,
I see a pattern here.
Before we do move on, I just want to say, yes, I do know that the UN has stated that whatever her name was, that
Shepherd.
isn't official. Yeah, Shepherd isn't part of the official UN. Is just a consultant. Blah blah blah. But still,
It has their name upon it.
Yeah, she had the possibility to use their name.
Is this the Dutch thing again?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
the Dutch
this is
thing.
the
I
Dutch thing again.
I
That's a
just for
completely
the Dutch
different
people who are
conversation.
watching. Yes, I know that UN doesn't have an official position yet, not
No, I
until
agree with
next
it
year
completely.
September, but still. So moving on. The last part for the news bit. The new Recruiter Friend system is now on the PTRs, and it has the same features as before, but it now allows you to pick out any of the rewards from the past as well. But not only that, some of the pets from Asia that were used in promotions are now also up for grabs. So, do you think this is a way for them to just try and get WoW players to recruit new players for the game, as the subscriptions have been going down? And
Well,
if
it's not
so,
recruits.
do you still have any friends at this point that would even be interested in trying out World of Warcraft? Surely, if you had friends for Recruiter Friend, you'd have done that by now to get another mount.
Well, there's always, I mean, like I'm studying at the moment, I mean, the best, you can make commercials and such, but the best commercialization is mouth to mouth still. So I
Yeah.
think they're probably not as big as, I know you like it, Matt. But as I was saying, what was I saying? Oh yeah,
That you love, Matt.
well,
what you
that's
were saying.
that's definitely true. But no, what that it's definitely
I know,
a good way to get people to join the game. And I mean, there's always, I mean, the pool may not be as big as it used to be when they first introduced it, but it's still there's still plenty of people probably out there that have heard of the game, that want to try it, and know somebody that plays it or has played it in some way or the other. And I mean, you can even get more than 1, 2, or 3 people by doing that. Hey, I heard that.
We heard
But-
that, dude.
You
Heard that. Yeah, we did.
Oh, no, it's muted on. XSplit, don't worry.
Okay. But yeah, no, I think it's also nice that they include Asia only rewards items. Nice to get them on this side as well, just to equalize it out, I would say.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. For any legal people listening, it was LJ who said mouth to mouth is a good way of getting people to play the game again. I'm not sure if that's politically correct in many countries nowadays, but apparently in Holland it is. But anyway,
Yeah. Moving on.
I Recruiter Friends is all right. As I said, at the end of the day, I've probably not got many people that I'd want to add anyway. I do. Word of mouth is the best way of getting people to play the game. To be fair, some of the cinematic stuff they do help. They are pretty cool. They do look quite nice. You can't deny it. But at the end of the day, is WoW on decline at the moment? Probably. Is there a reason behind it? We've spoke about it many times before. Yes, there probably is a reason behind it. But at the end of the day...
Yeah, this is just about Recruiter Friend.
Yeah, this is just about Recruiter Friend. I don't know. They said there's people... Yeah, we can. The new awards are quite good. They're nice. They're a bit of a change. I believe we said before, is it fair that we are now getting rewards that were old rewards on the Asian market instead of something new and maybe unique to the rest of the world? I would probably think that's a fairer option. That's just me maybe being a little bit bitter and twisted towards the fact that they have 2 resets a week and higher item level. But apart from that, it may just be being a little bit bitter and twisted there.
Just a little bit. I mean, it's not like Asia always gets better treatment and such.
Well, I'm fine with 1 reset a week, really. We have 14 bosses.
You don't want to raid more?
No, actually I don't. I've gone past that stage.
Oh my god, you're growing up.
Oh my god. Everyone.
Oh man, Mess is growing up. I don't know.
Oh my god, man, it's so sweet.
Oh.
I'm just busy. That's it, really. Maybe if I had more time. But right now, no.
If only he grew a bit quicker, he'd be able to raid 25 times a week, man.
Alright. So, anything else about Recruiter Friend?
I don't have any friends.
Join the club. I mean, you're sort of a friend, but you already play WoW, so really you're useless.
I'm sort of a friend. Hey!
You're useless to me getting more mounts.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry that I'm not more useful, huh? Mess? Huh?
Well, I'm glad you are. I'm glad you can admit that you're at fault here.
Look what I have to put up with, people. I mean, he's forced me into this podcast every week.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, threatening my family and such. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, because I really do that. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. You're really the type to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, and
Alright.
just a little in between. I just leveled my last character. Yay! Now I have
congratulations.
a level.
You officially have no life.
I have no life. 11 level 90s. What about that?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're gonna cry in a corner now.
I think that's best. So, moving on. That's all we have for news this week, so let's move on to the boss review. This week, it's Galacross Normal. This is the 5th encounter in the Siege of Orgrimmar. You fight warlord Ziala on her proto-drake Galacross and her army of Horde soldiers. Now, there are a few of your Horde factions that quote-unquote help you out in this fight, and the fight consists of 2 phases. Now, in the first phase, you fight regular Horde soldiers and mini-bosses, their lieutenants, and your goal is to get 2 towers under Alliance or Horde control. Once you get these 2 towers, you can use the 2 cannons in the towers to shoot Galacross out of the air, which begins phase 2. Now in this phase you fight Galacross the Proto-Drake, and your goal is to just kill him. Now I'm actually not sure what happens with Warlord Zila after that, if she dies or not. I really should pay more attention to the roleplay. But for full details, as always, you can check out my guide.
Would you like me to do the line?
Yes,
You do it.
If you want any details for this fight, please go to BB Mezzi and the Mezzi Raid Guides and look for the Gallicross normal raid tactics.
Indeed. So, with that out of the way, other than the fact that this is the first fight of a few that uses Restoration Shamans, how did you guys like this encounter when you first did it on normal mode? That's the most important thing, when you first did it on normal mode.
How can I put this mildly without beeping? I beeping hate it as a healer. The fight itself is not bad, but it's just so horrible as a healer sometimes. It's untrue. I don't know how Matt underfound it.
It's one of the first fights I like.
No, I definitely hate it.
That's because I get the fun task. I just volunteered to do the towers every time. And I just run around towers, have fun with Typhoon and stuff like that. I like that fight. It's just one of those fights. On normal anyway, it's alright. I quite like it. Again, they've thrown... Actually, to be fair, they've not thrown stupid amounts of gimmicks in this one. Yes, you've got a lot of ads. Yes, you've got a lot of other bits and bobs to sort out. But it's not that bad. And the second phase is a pretty... I don't mind that gimmick. I've seen it, so I'm pretty sure I've seen it somewhere before. If someone can actually tell me. With the spreading the debuff and the balls, I'm pretty sure...
Exactly?
I'm pretty sure I've seen something like that before, when you have to like run something over the rest of the raid to get the stack.
Yeah, a meteor or something like that. That's
or something. I can't remember. Yeah, so I quite like it. It's a little bit. It's completely different to the rest of the fights. In there, I like it as the first one. In there, do I think all the NPCs are completely a waste of time? Yes.
Yes. The quote-unquote for help, why I said that, is because they're more a liability than anything else.
Yes.
I've actually had a couple times that it wiped because Jaina or somebody died because they forgot to stun the mob on it. I mean, don't. The only thing that happened that's stupid. But I'm a casual raider at the moment, remember? But it's more
you filthy casual.
We hate you.
Last time I'm doing the podcast, then. But anyway, no, it's. I mean, what you basically only have the what you call it, the blizzard from Jaina. That's kind of useful.
Yeah.
For the rest, it's not really. No, not really the best fight ever.
I think it's okay. It is different, huh? First having to take 2 towers, like they really are trying to emulate an assault on Orgrimmar, a siege on Orgrimmar.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's a good effort, but I think in execution, it's kind of boring. The ads are... They're not dangerous or anything, as long as you do kill the totem, you interrupt the chain heal, and you stun the ads, and kill the banner. That's another thing, banners and totems and stuff. Okay. I'm sure we'll get back to those mechanics soon, maybe. But yeah, it's just a generally okay fight. It's the 5th encounter, the 2nd part of the first wing for Elephorn Flex. It's something. Not sure what else to say.
Yeah, it's a decent raid leading you into the whole siege of Orgrimmar. You can't moan at that, and at the end of the day, that's really all you can really say on it. It's one of those fights. I quite enjoy it. It's relatively, once you get the tactics sorted, it's relatively simple fight on LFR. I mean on normal. there's a couple of things that can wipe you. Main thing that's actually could wipe you is not sorting out the say, as LJ mentioned there, not stopping the fracture on the NPCs. But apart from that, it's an enjoyable fight. It's a good start to the second part, if you know what I mean. It's a good introduction to the actual proper siege of Ogrim, and not the whole we've annoyed the water part of it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Through from that, it is a good start. That you start with the siege, really, and it is a good part. I mean, there's the little bit of assault from the water and such. I was just talking purely about the fight, but for the rest, it is a good placing. It's a good starting fight for Orgrimmar when you get out of the vault area. But yeah, it's just that the fight on its own is not one of my favorites. I mean, it could be your favorite, it could be anybody's favorite, but it's just not my personal favorite.
Yes, fair enough.
Yeah, I just noticed that because we now have the guides playing when we talk about this without sound. When you use heroism, the NPCs also get heroism. Did you know that?
Yeah. They also get my mastery buff and such. So I got on quite early that they also receive certain buffs as the raid group gets them.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all for Galacross. The video has ended, so we probably should move on. So, going back to us, it always takes time to load for that. I don't know why. So, discussion point, huh? No commercial this week. We'll hopefully record as in a video soon with one of the older commercials. So, the discussion at this point, and it kind of continues on with some of the things we've already said today. How newbie friendly is World of Warcraft? Now, a thought occurred to me when I was writing up what we were going to discuss on today's podcast. I've been playing World of Warcraft for nearly 9 years now. And when I started out, I had a friend to help me out. And for all the quest details, etc., you had to read the quest description itself properly, or use fan sites for help to quest quicker, for example. Now, over the years, WoW has changed a lot, and one of such changes is the starting area questing experience. So I was wondering, for you guys, because let's face it, I don't know any newbies, how newbie friendly is WoW now? Does it give new players sufficient handles on the game, and does it keep them interested? And as I said, I don't know any new players, to be honest, these days. So I turn to you two. How do these things come across to you?
It's one of those things. It's hard concepts of once you've played it before, seeing how odd it is. Now, for me, I think it is one of those fairly friendly games. It's very pretty much you do this, you do that, you do this. I'm trying to think how simple the skills are explained, and so you've got the tool tips and stuff like that that explain the skills relatively. The skills relatively simple. There's a lot of websites on the floor and stuff like that that can find stuff a lot. So
yes, but the point of the game being newbie friendly is that they don't have to go to sites, because only a very small minority actually does go to sites to research stuff.
That's when to get the best build and the best DPS and stuff like that, and if you want to do stuff like the people. It's relatively simple. I think a lot of it is now pretty common sense to watch the best one, if you know what I mean. There's only one or two, like even in the getting the tier, but it's only one or two you'll sort of look at and go, "Oh, have I got the right talent there?" So there's not many that will really pose much of a challenge. Everything is pretty much common sense.
Even to the new gamer, to the new MMO MMO
champion, yeah.
The new game. Well, that's how simplified can you have it for the new gamer? For me, I'm not a new gamer. I've been playing for a while. It's a very hard thing to say. Is it? It's very. We say how simplified the game is. We say it all the time. We say it quite vigorously.
That's why for today's discussion point, how is it actually to a new player? For
I
us
think,
veterans who've seen much more difficult play,
yeah,
it's simple. But how is it to others?
I think it is pretty balanced. It's pretty fair. Um, there's when you do start leveling, it's actually you have got a chance to die when you're leveling and stuff like that. It's not as easy as people might think when you're leveling up in normal gear. I've done it a couple of times recently, just as a bit of a change up to do it that way, if you know what I mean, and not be restricted by the amount of gear I've got to level. So I've done it sort of. I've tried to do it as old school as I can, if you know what I mean. And I've quite enjoyed it up to a certain point. But then you get to that certain point now when we're not old school. I think actually I was going to get some of the XP again. I'm sorted. So it still would take a bit of time to level. It still does give you, I think, a bit of time. The one thing they do need to improve on is the professions and stuff like that, because they're still not balanced, still not
Yes.
particularly sorted. I think they should be a lot simpler for what they actually are, but unfortunately they're not.
I don't think they should be simpler. I think they should be easier to level, at least the earlier ones, because as they've
Yeah.
said, is a problem that you out level your professions.
Well, as I've
Yeah,
said to you,
definitely true.
haven't
Yeah.
I've said to you before, haven't I? I'm leather worker, and that is possibly the most painful profession you will
Okay,
ever
yes.
wish to level again.
Yes,
It is
it's grindy. But then I pose to you the question, because we want things to sometimes be more grindy before you get a reward. Isn't that then one of the last things that is more grindy to have a reward for afterwards?
The thing is, what's the? I'll say this in a bad way. It's all right grinding for a reward that is beneficial in the end, if
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Up until you get to level 7, up to 90, sorry, none of the gear is beneficial at all. It's not
Yes.
very good
Okay.
gear. It's not. There's not. It's not one of the things that makes you think, oh, if I get that, it's going to be a massive upgrade.
Yeah, but it's a
Because,
long grind to the level 90 reward.
but when you get, that's where you can do the sort of compromise between the two. When you do get up to that level, when you do get up to the level that is useful, and that's where the reward needs to be. So I think it should be pretty quick to level up until you get to, say, level 80 or something like that, where it is a bit more of a challenge. From level 80 onwards, keep it the same. But up till then, I think they should make it a bit easier. I know what you mean. I know we don't want to simplify all of it, but they've done it with a lot of the gathering professions and stuff like that. They have,
They're working on it, yeah.
yeah, they are working on it with gathering professions and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, I just think it'll be a big improvement.
Sure. But then you could say that for all the simplifications, yes, it's easier. So
No, I just
it's
think
a double-edged sword.
yeah, it's a double-edged sword. It's one of these things. I just think personally, for me, with the actual progression professions, I just think a little bit could be done. They've done it with the actual gathering skills,
Yeah.
where you can, or not even make it quicker to level, but do something similar with the Pandaria seek what they've done with a lot of those skills, where they're basically turned around and meant that you can actually get something from just leveling it in Pandaria, so you can get all the Pandaria. It might take you 6 weeks to do or something like that. Do you know, it might take you a long time to grind everything, but at least you're killing mobs in Pandaria and you're not doing them in all the old areas. Something like that. At least give
Yeah.
people the option.
Yeah, that's fine as long as it. I mean, for professions, yes, they're annoying. So I can understand if it's more simplified. But the main issue is the outleveling of the professions. They need to change them. Sure, if it's faster on the earlier levels, so it keeps up. But it still requires some effort at least. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So, going back to the actual newbie-friendly part of the discussion, LJ, do you have any experience or
Yes, I'm still here. I'm still
accounts? Yes. Do you have any friends, for example, that haven't been playing it for long, and what their experiences are?
Not really. I don't know many people that just have started. I know a couple of people who have started again, but they already then know how the game was and is. So I don't have that much experience with it, but yeah, it's kind of difficult to say because I'm gonna use Final Fantasy as a point again. I mean, that's a whole new game and it's quite different, but it's not as friendly as WoW, I would say, to step in and just level and play with because you have to level a second class on the same character and stuff like that. It's like it's good that I had Viv and another guy we know who plays it as well to explain a lot to me. But I think WoW definitely, if you look at Final Fantasy, is very
User friendly.
yeah, much more user friendly. I wouldn't say simplified, but at least a lot more user friendly, which is a
Yeah.
good thing to be honest, because that's I think that's always been a good point with World of Warcraft, that they make it accessible to everybody.
Yeah, they have made it more accessible.
Yeah, definitely have.
Questing was kind of annoying, I guess, in Classic.
Yeah.
I think it was ThoughtBot, something like that at the time.
Thoughtbot. Oh,
Thought-
God.
Yeah,
Thoughtbot.
does that even still exist?
Yes.
But I believe I used that for questing a lot. Where did I have to go?
No.
But one thing to add to it, this is taken in from what
It
LJ
still
said.
exists. It still exists.
This is one
Okay.
thing from taking what LJ's just said with like Final Fantasy. I play Final Fantasy and literally, in some respects, Final Fantasy is like a smack in the face for new people playing it. And sometimes it even depends on which class. For those who haven't played it, depending what class you start off, depends on what city you start off. There's 3 cities. Like my fiance, she tried to start off originally as an Arcanist, and they start in a place called Liminza, which is basically as hard to navigate as it is to say.
Yeah,
It is
definitely.
a complete mind mess when you go there. It's once you get used to it, it's fairly simple. But to actually get used to it first, you just sit there and go, "What the hell?" And
What
it
the
is
hell
a
have
bit
I walked
overpowering.
into?
Yeah, it's a bit overpowering, but they do try and simplify it. And there are some areas like Gridania and other areas are very simple to do, and Yuldar's not too bad. But that, in compared to WoW, is basic rocket science. WoW is, if you compare it to other games, very simple to learn, very simple to play. Would people without looking themselves be able to find the right spec, the right
I know I wouldn't have.
yeah, would they be able to find the right spec or find the right talents to use? No, it's not that simple. You do have to look for what you want. If you want to be a decent raider, if you want to be decent in your class, you are going to have to do some kind of research into it. You can't just wait to get boosted by everyone. That just won't happen.
No. Well, it's a different type of game then,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Well,
Uh,
it gives a bit of a feeling of WoW old school, put it like that.
Okay.
It gives a bit more like how WoW used to be, and that's why I think Matt and I like playing it so much at the moment because it gives a bit of a feeling that we've been missing.
I think that would explain the 1.5 million straight off the bat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
exactly.
It's actually done relatively well. My actual statement then about the specs and everything was actually about WoW, not about Final Fantasy. That was back onto WoW there because how many? Let me tell you now, Mezzy. Here's a question for you: if you came now off the bat, leveled your hunter off the bat, would you have a clue what spec to be? What's the best DPS? What's the best
No.
rotation?
I just press my buttons.
That's what I mean. And there are some classes which are a lot simpler. If I was going to be Boomkin, if I was going to be a chicken, as it's widely renowned as a chicken, I actually think I could start from scratch, get the spec roughly right, and get the DPS rotation down roughly right because it is very, very simple. It isn't a very hard rotation at all. It's both hots. Raff, 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 raff. Star Surge. Raff, 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 raff. Do you know what I mean? That's all the
Basically, yeah.
rotation is. All the rotation is that. There's about, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 skills that I use in my rotation that I can think of now just off the bat. So that's why I got DPS. No, but but like, I'm looking at my priest that I'm just messing around with at the moment, and I'm looking at it, and I've got that many skills that as it's my old and I don't fully know what everything does yet. I'm actually trying to figure out what all the buttons are. So, and there's certain buttons you can't press, like Shadow Priest, you know, like to put hots, but you can't do Mind Spike. Because, and there's all these type of things that. Is it very easy for newcomers at the start? Yes, I think it is because it's very simple. You can pretty much blitz the first 20 levels quite nicely, learn a bit of the story if you want to, and enjoy yourself. Is it easy once you get into it? No, I think it's not very user friendly once you get actually into it. Yes, you'll be able to level. Yes, you'll be able to look at the simple options of what gear's good for you. But as we all know, there's still dodgy items back in vanilla, back in the old content. That good old, what is it, agility spirit items now, male?
Of the wolf.
Of the wolf.
Oh,
So,
of the wolf, yeah. Don't get me started.
what,
Intellect, strength, cloth stuff.
What does
Yeah.
the wolf say?
No, do not go there. Do not go there.
I think it's time we wrap it up. I think, yes, let's move on.
Quickly.
So, this was again WoW Weekly. Thanks for joining, LJ.
I'm happy to be here.
Well, I'm glad that my threats worked.
It's all in the script. I have to say it.
Thanks, Matt, for joining us again.
It's okay, darling.
You've got to stop saying that.
But I'm a thespian, darling.
Whatever.
God.
Alright, anyway. Thanks to the viewer for watching. I'm Izzy, and we'll see you again next time.